Welcome to the Direct Line, the official podcast for OADSP. We're excited to have you here with us today, and if you have comments, suggestions, or if you want to join us in studio as a guest, reach out to me at podcast@oadsp.org. I'm David Rustio, and today we are speaking with Christine Tuvell. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. So, Christine, tell us about yourself.
Well, David, as you said, I'm Christine, and I am a proud dog mom. I have a wonderful pug mix.
Okay.
Her name's Eleanor, but she goes by Ella. If it's been a while since she's had a bath, we call her Smella, or the formal Smellinor.
Smellinor, okay.
Smellinor, yeah. She is about that time where she needs a bath. I think it's been a while. So she is unsuspecting that a bath is imminent for her. Although it is raining outside today, so maybe I'll just slap some shampoo on her and
there you go.
We'll wash it off on our walk later today.
Now, there's more to you than your sweet pet who I've met. Eleanor. Tell us more.
So I am currently in law school.
Scary.
It's a question or a thing that I question every day, whether or not I made the right decision. But I am almost 2.5 years into a 4-year program. So I'm very on the downward slope, which feels really great. I'm going to Capital University Law School right down here in Columbus. And it's been a very interesting learning experience.
What was your favorite class so far? Has there been?
Well, that's a really interesting question. So, the first 2 years of law school, they kind of, at least at the night program, because I'm going at night, they pick your classes for you. So you don't really have that much choice.
Okay.
But I'm in the first semester where I got to choose the classes that I wanted. And no, we're not supposed to talk about work, but probably my favorite one so far has been administrative law, because I think it has a lot of relevance to our work. So,
okay. Now, there's all kinds of lawyers. So, do you have a plan, or do you know what type of lawyer you want to be?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and it is one that I continue to avoid.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know.
You're going to litigate every time somebody
not.
says a cuss word on a podcast?
Definitely not going to do that, because I'd probably put my own self into court with that. No, I don't know.
That's fair.
For a while, I really had kind of a plan for myself about what I wanted to do.
When you grew up?
When I grew up, yeah. But as I've kind of grown up, realized that sometimes it's okay to stray from the plans and just see what the world throws your way. So I'm trying to stay open-minded and see just what's out there. So
good for you.
I'm trying to stay open and not, predetermine what I want to do too much. But I can tell you, I do really enjoy administrative law, and I think I'd really like employment law a lot too.
Okay. They both sound boring to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, I to each their own, I guess.
Well, I do podcasts, so, So you mentioned that you're not supposed to talk about your work, but you did, and that's okay. So let's talk about your work.
Okay. Yeah, so I am the Director of Advocacy at the Ohio Provider Resource Association, or OPRA for short. And I have been in this role for a few years, but I actually started working here as an intern when I was getting my bachelor's of social work degree from Ohio State.
Okay.
And
Ohio State?
The Ohio State University. I try not to be too pretentious about it, but since you brought it up, it is the Ohio State University. You're right.
It is.
And so then I was lucky enough to get a job offer after my internship. And then I was a policy analyst and was doing more just kind of office work with some policy stuff here and there. And then was able to, after we had some turnover, kind of slide into this new role in advocacy. So,
And you like it?
I love it. I don't say this lightly. I think it's a dream job for me.
Great.
I love it. I love my team. I think you've interviewed or are going to interview a few of them, and I hope that the audience loves them as much as I do.
So what makes this job fun?
So many things. How long do we have?
We've got all day.
All day. I think one of the most fun things is that it is always, every day is new. It's always changing. I get to spend a lot of time also at the State House, doing lobbying, advocacy with our elected officials. Had the opportunity to go to DC and lobby / advocate on behalf of providers and our members and the people that everybody serves in DC with Congress, and that's always a really fun experience. I've gotten to go out a few times now, and definitely get swept up in the excitement whenever I'm at the State House or the U.S. Capitol.
So when they see you coming, do they shiver in fear, or how's it go?
That I think it depends. No, well, most of the time, we, because our elected officials are very busy, we meet with staff, and they're, you've got a whole range of staff that have expertise in various areas. Meet with a lot of people who are kind of fresh out of college, so they. It's more they're just taking it all in. Sometimes they don't have a whole lot to add. Sometimes they do. And other times we meet with people who are, much more, they've been working for a while. They understand healthcare a little bit more, maybe long-term care, but it's usually pretty rare that we get someone that understands kind of the services that opera members typically provide.
So how do you navigate that? Because you're trying to get our message through, and yet you're talking to somebody that maybe doesn't even understand we exist.
Yeah, that's such a great question. One I obviously spend a lot of time thinking about. My boss, Pete, he and I do a lot of this work together, and we have kind of developed a general description of our services.
Okay.
He likes to draw, so we usually bring some of his drawings, and I find that is so helpful, having those visuals that you can help walk people kind of through, because our system's really complicated.
Sure.
It's really complex, and if you only have 15 minutes, what is the shortest description that you can give someone and they still are able to understand it? Visuals tend to really help with that. And, we don't always, get it right all of the time. Sometimes we'll leave meetings and be like, oh, we maybe should have reframed it a little bit. We should follow up and make sure that people understood. There was one meeting I went to once where we were using the term infrastructure, and we meant like kind of a systems infrastructure, business infrastructure, and then
they were trying to build a bridge.
And I'm like, I could tell the guy, the aide that we were talking to, he like infrastructure, his eyes lit up, and I was like, oh no, I think I need to intervene and make sure that we're talking about the same infrastructure. And he was like, oh, thank you. I was totally thinking about something else. So.
Would he have been more open to building a bridge, you think? Or they just didn't know?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Probably. But
there's a lot of money in building bridges, I'm assuming. I don't know.
Right now, there certainly is a lot of money. It seems like. I know we're going to get a nice new bridge down in Cincinnati here.
Well, that's important for the rest of us.
Yeah.
So how did you happen into this field?
Oh, great question. So I, throughout my kind of high school, middle school experience, had a lot of classmates with disabilities. Okay. And over time, just really got to know a lot of my classmates. And one of the moms actually had come to me and was like, you should really work at this summer camp. Everybody goes to it. We think you'd be a great match. And so I, at the time, was not old enough to work. So I volunteered there for 2 summers, and then eventually was hired as a camp counselor, and I worked there for 3 years and 3 summers. And then they had stuff, throughout the winter that I would go and do, and just really fell in love with the services. And, I actually, the last summer that I was there was really tough. We had some challenging scenarios that we had to work through. And I realized at the time that maybe there was some policy stuff going on, some bigger picture issues that I didn't really know what they were at the time. But I had the spunk of an early 20-year-old, and I was going to change the world. So
you've done a great job.
Thank you. So I said I was going to go into social work, and then kind of partway through, I had this realization that, policy and politics are important, and tried to find an internship that could merge my love of, helping people with disabilities live their best lives, and policy and politics. And really, I think probably dumb luck that I landed an internship here, and it's just worked out really wonderfully.
Oh, great. So, opera is where you work, and you mentioned that a little bit ago, but there might be some people listening who are unfamiliar with opera and what this organization does. Can you give us a synopsis?
Yeah, I'll give you my congressional elevator speech.
Okay.
So I would say if you were a legislative aide, or you were a congressman, or Representative Ruscio, I would say opera is a statewide trade association of long-term care providers, mostly Medicaid funded, who specialize in serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Okay. And did my eyes gloss over?
No. I think you held attention good.
Okay.
Well. And
so does it ever gloss over on people you're mentioning it to, or
yeah,
it does. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you combat that? Give them a cookie?
It depends. It's a very lawyerly answer too, isn't it? It depends. What we try to do, if we can tell that we are really losing someone, we kind of abandon our canned pitch and try and make some kind of other personal connection to pull people back in. So we've
talk about your dog.
Talk about our dogs, ask people where they're from. That's the interesting thing about going to DC and working with the congressional delegation. You'll go in and talk to staff, and you're like, so you from Ohio? And they're like, no, I'm from Texas. It's like, well, how do you even know what's
going on in Ohio?
How can you? It's very interesting to see that you have people from all over the country really kind of working on behalf of you. But that usually breaks the ice. Or sometimes we'll ask, do you know anybody that has a developmental disability? And then usually you can kind of work from there, really kind of starting back. Sometimes we'll even start with those questions just to build a little bit of a rapport before we even do the pitch. It seems that, people, when they feel a little more comfortable with you, they're more willing to be attentive.
Okay. So our audience is generally DSPs, direct support professionals. What do you do, or what does opera do that impacts DSPs?
Yeah. So I think probably the most impactful thing that we do is working with our state representatives and state senators to pass state budgets that help fund the services. So all of the, kind of reimbursement for the services that DSPs provide is appropriated through the state budget. And so we go in, my boss and I, and lots of our members, and sometimes we have DSPs come and join with that as well, along with the people they're supporting and families and county boards and lots of other advocates come together and, kind of make a pitch for more funding so that we can, make sure that people are, providers are paid enough so that we can continue to provide these services.
So if I'm a DSP and I'd like to pitch in, how do I do that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I would say, so we just passed a budget in the end of June, early July. And so those budgets are every 2 years.
Right.
And so during that process, there's tons of opportunities to provide public comment. You can come down to the State House and provide public testimony, which I think is the most scary of the options.
Sure.
Most intimidating.
But not for some people.
Not for some people. No, definitely not. We have some really great advocates that come down and are not afraid to get up, testify in front of legislators, and then sit on the hot seat while they get asked questions. There's opportunity to provide written testimony. If you don't want to come all the way down here to Columbus, you can just reach out to your representative and your senator. Okay. I think that's where we have tried to focus a lot of our most recent effort, is just having people reach out to those officials, meet with them, explain what you do. Because like I think, kind of already established, it's so rare that you meet someone that knows what the work is, who it impacts, what the impact is, and just how important the work really is to so many people.
So this budget that was passed, it's going to make a big difference. Most folks will probably, if they've not already, received some money because of the increases, but the first of the year is when it really kicks in. And so that can impact, and the goal, was to impact wages. Should DSPs be reaching out to their representatives and saying thank you?
I would highly encourage that. I think most representatives that we talk to, people come, they have their hand out, they ask for money,
then disappear.
Yeah, the state budget, I don't think people realize just how expansive it really is. It doesn't just fund our services. It doesn't just fund Medicaid, but it helps fund schools, and it helps fund community projects, and all of the state government is funded through there. So there are a lot of people asking for the same pot of money. So one way that we think we really try and differentiate ourselves is through that, kind of post-budget gratitude. So I would highly encourage, if you have local connections, to reach out and just express gratitude. And
how could a DSP who's listening find out who their representative is and how they voted on this issue?
Oh, that's a good question. So the Ohio General Assembly has a website, and legislature.ohio.gov, I believe, is what it is.
Okay.
And you get on there, and it will ask you for your address, and then that will tell you who your representative and your senator is.
Okay.
You'd have to probably do a little bit more digging to figure out how they voted. But if you email me, I'd be happy to help you find that information.
So if they wanted to do that, and I hope some people do, what is your email address?
Yeah, so it's C, T as in Tom, O, U, V as in Victor, E as in elephant, LLE as in elephant, at opra.org.
All right. So there's a way for people to find out, and they should not send hate mail if their person did not.
Yes. Don't, here's what I tell people. A no vote from a legislator doesn't necessarily mean that they don't support our services.
Right.
There could have been, like we said, it's a big bill. It's thousands of pages long. It's billions of dollars of funding. Sometimes there are things that get put in there that people just don't like and they can't vote for. There was a lot of change in education policy this year that, if you look at the way that the Ohio Senate voted, I think all of the Democrats voted no. But when you talk to people, they're like, I totally 100% support your services. I have no problem with you guys getting additional funding, making changes to make services better. I just didn't like these other things.
Right.
And I
have to balance it.
Yeah, it is. It's a balance, and it's a balance that I'm glad I don't have to make.
Right. So how do you think the future looks for our industry and for DSPs?
Immediately, I hope it looks good. Right. I'm hoping that some of the funding that we're going to get will really help us, start to stabilize. I mean, I know that the pandemic was really hard for people, and so amazed by the work that was done by DSPs, by frontline staff, frontline supervisors, to make sure that people were safe. They had, meaningful lives, as meaningful as, all of us could have while we were in our homes for months on end.
Right.
And I'm hoping that this funding can help us kind of get back to a place that allows us to, really get back to the heart of the work and, helping people access their community, helping people become more independent, helping people really live the lives that they want. I would say long term, I'm a little nervous looking at, Ohio's, kind of long term change in demographics. Sure. I think we're going to have do we have the number of people that we really need to provide good quality services, which, concerns me. But I also think that it is an opportunity for us to come up with some really cool ideas, some novel ideas for services, helping people really achieve the level of independence that we know is possible and that we've maybe been a little too nervous to test out.
Sure.
Obviously, we want to protect health and safety.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that it is going to be a challenge, but I think that we are going to have to really be creative about how we think about our services over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah, and how they're delivered. But I think that out of all of the states, I'm definitely biased. I think we have some of the smartest people at the table thinking about this, who spend all of their time thinking about this, and will come up with some great ideas. Look at what's happening in other states across the country, find cool models, and hopefully bring them here. So,
and compared to some states, we do really well here.
Oh, I would say compared to most states, we are by far and away doing really well. I know sometimes it doesn't always feel that way on the ground.
Sure.
But, when I talk to my colleagues across the country, we are definitely
ahead of the curve.
Far ahead of the curve.
So, one last question.
Okay.
What message do you have for DSPs listening?
I would say that the most important message I have for DSPs is to not be afraid to share your story. We saw during the budget that when we had DSPs, we had families, when we had people served in our system come and provide the testimony, who could talk about the day-to-day struggles of providing care, that really moved legislators the most.
Okay.
And so finding a way to tell your story in a way that someone who doesn't understand the system can understand is really important. And I know there are all kinds of resources out there about how you tell your story. And I would just encourage everyone to, really think about that. And I would also say to not be afraid to talk to your elected officials. Right. I know it can be really scary that, people have won votes and that's how they got their job, but they're just Ohioans too. They're just people. It just happens that they got their job through an election instead of, formal application process. And, I would say don't be afraid to speak up and make those connections.
And I would say to people listening, if you really want to share your story, write podcast at oadsp.com and, oadsp.org. My boss is going to call me. And just say you're interested in joining the podcast. We'd love to tell your story, and I'll make sure it's as easy as it can be.
Yeah, telling the story is really key. Getting those narratives out there, and as much as you can do it with the people that you're supporting too, it really just makes so much of a difference when we've got everybody involved.
Right. Well, thank you, Christine, for being here today.
Thank you, David, for having me.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening, and join us next time on The Direct Line.